the time I was young and engaged in all that.
So were you taking part? Just watching?
Yeah.
Do you do any tango lessons?
I did go to
That's what we proposed.
someone makes an air rock as well. That's properly
So
I was like, shit, I was fucking lucky.
someone threw something from a window, covered me in shit.
flower.
And the weird thing was, I knew it was a scam. I just instinctively thought, right, I've got a camera on my bag, and this lady came up to me with another one, and I was aware of it, and even though I was aware of it, they still somehow
Scratch right forward or something.
yeah, something off my head, and suddenly the person came up. And even though my camera bag was taken back to the office, I knew it was like magic. They got
It's amazing.
went later. At the time, the EOS 1 RX,
With pictures inside.
yeah,
Those are
just a
professional
ridiculous sale. It really was.
I wish we found one. It's so expensive.
Yeah, I definitely need it.
So if you go to our city,
Everyone.
but we are no Buenos Aires, man, it's a crazy city. It's okay to go. We are from the crazy city.
The farmers.
My grandmother was a farmer.
You're going to cut it? Yeah. I just don't just stay yeah, no.
Go up on this first step just to get I think about the back towards the message ping pong, but I'm sure you don't come into the street. I mean, goodness. Well, yeah, I don't think you had on the message. I haven't spoken to him directly. He's at home doing what he's doing for a football match. But the thread says, yeah, why not? We can always do the car shot on the way out down the street. Out of Parliament, which makes more sense to me. That's as I've taken it, and that's as how I've responded to it by saying, and one hour should try.
The battery's a killer. I mean, the phone the battery's
Why she doesn't use this?
Oh, really? Yeah.
What happened?
This Samsung.
That's because she thinks it's really cool as well. I know she was cool as fuck. There's loads of that. It's just as cool as other. Just helps see this for a while.
But that's as I've read it. Yep, that's what I thought.
Well, I mean, we were waiting for a while.
All right. Play ball.
Hi.
I'm going to go to ladder.
I'll go get my ladder now. I'll just put my camera there.
That's a much better place to be there. Colga, that's the best spot.
Huh?
I'll go there if I was by myself. I'm not going to wind up there. I think that is the best. If I was by myself, I'd go there.
Rather than watch
I thought it had been for a long time. It was always you that sorted out, this golf.
Yeah, I just arrived
You that's got
at
the education.
she was doing good.
Are they're not useless as much as they actually do pay you.
They do.
I remember you saying that the flag that the poverty swings off. It's low. So you get this moving in, like moving that's it. And then we did a slider shot right up at those barriers foreground. Sliders it's like a rails.
Oh yeah.
We did a 6-3
So it's really smooth movement.
like that. And then so as you get to time it, so as the door shuts, like this door slide across there, and the autofocus the railing as it closes.
You said auto. You couldn't twist it. Well, auto as well.
Yeah, but you have to get the speed of the auto.
You slow it down.
Yeah, there's different settings. So if you have it on fast, it's too quick. It doesn't matter. I'll have it on slow. This is about 3 settings.
So it sounds good.
Yeah. It doesn't always like medium is normally good.
It's probably not that hard
For this way. Anyway, the really nice shot which they did was the slide in the middle there, like that. Just sliding across with a cat.
Is it blurry or there's no other slow fluctuation?
No, that's on video.
Oh, of course.
So, yeah, moving it, sliding across with the cat. In the background. It's very nice. I never used it yet. I'll save it anyway.
So you use some of it on the credits at the beginning.
Yeah, the titles. They used did some stuff outside as well. I think they used 2 in early for that.
Stop me! Yes, yesterday, it's the same temperature today, except it's not wet.
I want to stop out there for that one. Let me stand as I'm planning to stand. Staycation. Chris, sorry to interrupt you. Just so these gents know, are you going to be standing here?
Oh no, I'm not. Sorry. Yeah. Someone take that.
Oh yeah?
Oh, hang on. Just give it. Jack and Taylor might be double up. Just give it 10 minutes. If Jack's not getting 10 minutes, someone will feel free to take it.
But I'm happy if you guys want to get
Well, if you don't want our traditional door, I can still speak. I'll be more than happy to speak.
I'm sure. No worries. We'll see what they say with Jack, and then we can all shuffle
Let us
forwards and
know, yeah,
sideways.
Chris.
Yeah, if nobody's standing on the step.
I mean, I'm sure that'll be fine because we can beat you two anyway. But yeah, let us know.
That's fine.
See, well, I shouldn't. If it's just for her head, which it is on the 500, I shouldn't need to go on the step anyway. If it's just for the 500 headshot, I shouldn't need to go on the step anyway. The other bicep. Yeah. Nice part of the world. Did ice cream. Morelli's. It's got some Morelli's.
If it's quite yeah, that's Glen. Yeah, that's Glen. They call it the names of
Yeah, for that time. I think it is, and then
That's fine.
twice the weight, 5 times the price of that. No better. It's sort of steady enough, yeah, and it's lighter. Flowers. Just saying that 2 to 5 is great.
In a different league, you have the one day like me, the old one.
I would like it. I
We
would
use
like
still sharp, yeah?
I've had it since I've unemployed, so in 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about
It's
13
still
years
sharp,
old.
yeah?
Yeah.
Pin sharp?
Yeah. Pin sharp seems to be.
Which one?
500,
500?
5, 6.
Oh, yeah.
I still think
But
twice
listen,
about getting this out this morning.
yeah, but you know, you cannot do
I can't do sports.
sports and you know. This is nice lens, but it's like the little 300. It's okay for certain things, but you will never beat this.
I think
It is.
Such a clever little lens.
No, of course, it is.
I use it for a golf. You can't give it to me. Yeah. One of those prop cameras. Oh yeah.
that's what you have. Wow.
Yeah, everyone was saying, you know, walking around in enormous, I'm walking around with a 450 F4 and a 2047 little. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
And I got this one.
It's heavy, isn't it? But it's great. I know it's super sharp. Heavy old leaf.
So, what's next for today? Can I keep the family together? You see?
Airport. We've got a late shift coming on at 2 o'clock on that. Quite 3 o'clock.
Oh yeah, but what is the shift?
It was both sides, but I don't think they're very important now, are they? arrived at. I don't think there'll be a possibility next Thursday.
No, tonight really hard tonight for us. They play Crystal Palace. And it's regularly want to lose. Palace is a good team. Really, when they are in shape. Yeah. I think they want to lose. Posh look upset. Posh looks
My least favourite round ever. Oh, he's stupid. I was so small. I'm not
Still, the traffic is still terrible there. It's the worst.
and the train station is no easy way. The train station is horrendous. You look like you're going to be mad to the spot.
500. Here's Jack. Mog's early today. He's probably playing tennis.
Hugo is a good tennis player. Smashes his racket.
I haven't come out to see you. Oh, did they?
Right, Bailey bum now.
Oh, my room. No, me too. We need to sort of amongst ourselves. Daylight.
Henry's here. He's gone for his tall steps on the back.
Because you're going wide or something.
He's playing.
Oh, okay, you're not going to be Chris!
I did a second set of steps in our trusty 200. If you want to use jet
He's going to go over there.
I had part clear just that one.
Can I get that spot or does anybody want it?
One second. Jack not using it. Yeah. Or come through here and I'll width slightly to the left. You're not
What is it?
That will come into here.
Oh, is that alright?
Is that alright?
Yeah, let's go through the guys.
He's sort of shooting loose-ish. I'm not getting much in the park from
I might just use this.
Do you want to?
So I should come here and do a 200?
If he'd have, I have got a spot that currently we're not using there.
How close is it?
Well, in Swipe though, alternatively go on the 600 right down the far end. I've never done that one before. She wouldn't say it's alright.
She looks.
Well, she looks till she gets into the car, but not as she comes out of the street. So it's whether she looks up the right as she's getting to the car.
If there's two here,
Not that close, then I won't be on it. I'll be literally like a tire. I'll be like here.
Otherwise it's the same old sort of.
it's just that, but loose. In terms of what we're looking at.
It is really quite often in that spot. Quite often in that spot. Henry should be getting a full length anyway. I know it's going to be a lot looser, but quite often that 2/3 one end up cropping into how you shot at the 5 or 6, but it just doesn't look as good, I think.
Has he got the 6 down there?
I think it's hanging up. I'm not sure. He definitely brought it into the street. Yeah. Is that all right? Puss in Boots.
So fat, get on with that.
Farmer's one that's really chubby, isn't it?
In the army, didn't he? I've been trained not to give up. It turns out it's just a TA. And then never so you actually know what they're looking for. Because that was a Ferrari. I don't think you should know for 11. Too accurate. Yeah. Too obvious. Never there. It's stuck. How often? What's he know about the
Did you?
Morning.
We've got it, we've set the camera. But then there was some discussion that exactly which one. I think the decision is when she goes down the steps. So you've got to be a clear cut. As soon as she appears, yeah, but I mean, what if when you say the minute she appeared, you're in the middle, it's straight down. Well, no, but when she goes down the steps, you can see it from the back. I think you guys need to Are you in? Well, then you've got no say. Wow.
Being an experiment.
She might as well have stood there, as it said, the game this time with my camera. Probably the same. Is it kind of get the aerial?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. No, I'm just trying to sort of like get so that you don't have to keep it all day. And wait for it to happen.
No, I wouldn't come here on the expectation and to walk in that sort of thing.
11 plus, you think?
Yeah, well, that was a long day, because they're all in for about an hour, weren't they?
Yeah. I'm sure the last time we did that would have been when Claire or regularly coming in and
Yeah.
There is quite game for a photo op this at 11 plus. Neil, Simon, do you mention to the guys back? If you want to use, if you're not changing positions, we're not using that second spot. Do you want the front row spot next to Simon? The second spot I marked up, Pete's not using it. Yeah, no worries.
Well, if the aerial,
Depending on the area.
It's fine. It's free,
let's see where the aerial.
free to use at the point of, yeah. Yeah, we're not using that, that's what I'm saying. So if anyone else wants it, Pete's gone down the far end. There's no car there.
We've done 10:50 something.
They're going around the back.
Unless you get the right minute, get your money back.
No car around here. No, just might go around the back. Out the back. Exactly. Yeah. Well, but it's not all that though, is it?
It's definitely just that.
that far down. That's all right. It's a new formation. Oh. Security reasons.
Well, confidence.
It's a matter of interpretation. I thought it was alright, but you know, someone would go, what a load of old crap that is. So, that's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes just because it's not the same shoot every day, I thought, oh, well, that wasn't that bad.
Yes. Just going forward to get it.
Yeah, it's going to go
Maybe it's not.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's doing that sort of internal.
Oh, that makes sense.
Might be.
Can't stay forward though.
Well, if it stays there, it might be because they're going to come to this way.
Normally,
Yeah.
Normally it stays forward though, doesn't it? Once it can't.
I'm sure it's going to go forward. Just see it on the radio.
Wait, push. They're not.
Well, the copper unlocked it at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, come on, stop there, stop there. Stop! Okay, I can move.
You're crazy.
Yeah, I could get this. Kind of. We'll lean over slightly.
A little dance.
No, it's just this car has got a long area. The other one's got shorter arms. Yeah, you do that, Marcus. Yeah, I'm not like you. Ribbon. Fine with the ribbon.
Yeah, it is a good bike. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that how it works, you go?
Whatever.
How much did you sweepstake today?
56.
12 quid.
No, that's exactly where we are.
Who's... Yeah, depending where you go. You go to the Wetherspoons. Whose camera are you using? Yeah, yeah. You're using it sooner than you think, yeah. Keep them till after the 12th, then it might be worth 20 quid, those 16 euros, instead of 10. Might be worth holding on to.
Some people lost it already. Some people in for a chance. Someone won lessons.
Right, just dropped it there.
Much brighter than I know.
Yeah, all the ones that done. Someone won it. Left the car for like 8 minutes time. We are in this winning zone.
You guys got another. It's got another sweepstake. Very nice.
Apparently these guys do. I have a pot. Because I know it's 11 on the dot. Hawaii.
It is, yeah. I didn't name it. Apparently you can't get them anymore. It's really quite a good size, I think. Maybe do a smaller one. It's weird, isn't it?
Somebody came up with a very funny marketing idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine that. And was this the think tank? Boardroom. Somebody says, okay guys, I've got a great idea for this product. Let's call it Hawaii.
Yeah. You know, if you called it an always ready or something like that, you think that sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
Have a behind it.
1101.
No, they're not in the forward position.
No. Well, what's his name?
Barfield.
Yeah.
But there's someone in. I don't know if he does, because there's someone in the back of the car. They don't put 3 in the back of it.
Have they? I don't know if they only put the position in the back. Calm down.
Blockers are on.
Are they?
I think.
Prime Minister, will it be a Labour Brexit? Can you fix the cracks in your cabinet this way?
Oh.
It is 11, isn't it? 1102. I'm 1103.
Oh, Bradley.
Still 1102 now.
Brad, was you on 1102?
I'm 1103.
Oh, Zach's on it. Let me get to my
You know,
It's alright, I've got the money in my pocket already.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Well, that's why there's 2. Yeah, just straight down the barrel.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I went off course.
charge it just got out.
Well, yeah. Well, they told me to do some flags. Apparently, there's a lot of EU flags just by the colour green. So told me to do that. So just gonna keep going. Yeah, mine's very slow as well. I'm just gonna wait for it to drop. When do you what? In the queue. I don't know if you send it.
Just checking with the call to confirm.
They were jamming it earlier. I don't know whether that's still on.
Can I not type anymore?
It's working okay now.
Yeah, but go to the toilet and when all these sent, I'll just start walking towards the screen. Feel free to go to Crush or something, I'll just do a round of me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you that. Yeah, go to it, yeah, see you later.
than did the average across the rest of the United Kingdom. But of course, we're keen to work with all political parties in order to secure a smooth and efficient exit from the European Union. Let's be frank that the Welsh public and the UK public want to draw a line under this chapter.
Stephen Crabb.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Isn't it the key problem with the withdrawal agreement that we're facing at the moment, that there are just too many MPs from Wales, elsewhere on the opposition benches, some on our side, they go to their constituencies at the weekend, they tell their Leave voters that they want to get on with Brexit, they come back here on a Monday and then find every trick in the book, every excuse to vote against implementing Brexit.
I'm grateful to my right honourable friend. He's absolutely hit the nail on the head, and I'm grateful for his support. He is well aware that last Friday the opposition voted against the withdrawal agreement, having previously said they had no differences with the withdrawal agreement. That seems to demonstrate they are seeking to create as much chaos as they can rather than acting in the national interest.
Mr. David Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can my right honourable friend confirm that in discussing the withdrawal agreement with the Welsh First Minister, he has made clear the government's position, which is to rule out participation in the customs union?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member is well aware that this House has not yet come to a conclusion as to whether it wishes to call on the government to be part of the customs union or not. So far, everything has been rejected, and my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, is seeking to work across the House and with colleagues on all parties in order to come to an agreement about what the House actually wants.
Lloyd Russell Moyle.
Does he believe Wales, the Welsh economy will be stronger under the withdrawal agreement and the political declaration, or weaker? And will he support a strong Welsh economy or a weaker Welsh economy?
Mr. Speaker, I think that with the actions of the government's planning, I'm optimistic about our prospects outside of the European Union. Having travelled internationally in Japan just some weeks ago, in China at the end of last year, I'm encouraged by the interest that has been shown in the UK economy, and I believe that Wales and the UK economy will be prosperous outside the European Union.
Liz Saville-Roberts.
The Secretary of State told my colleague, the Honourable Member for Carmarthen East and Donegal, on record in Welsh Affairs Select Committee 2 days ago that he didn't want to be in a situation where there is no deal. Could he explain to Welsh food producers and manufacturers why there are press reports after yesterday's Cabinet meeting that he was for a short delay? And that is, of course, shorthand for supporting no deal.
Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Lady is seeking to draw me on private discussions within Cabinet meetings. Of course, she knows that I would not be drawn on that. What I said on the record on Monday, I would happily say on the record now. I don't want to be in a no-deal position, and that's the reason I voted for a deal. And I would hope that the Welsh food producers that the Honourable Lady referred to also supported the Prime Minister's deal, and I would hope that she would explain to them why she refused to support it.
Liz Saville-Roberts.
Who's one Welsh Office Minister may be regarded as a misfortune, but to lose 4 in a little bit more than a single year looks like carelessness. Something must make their positions untenable, intolerable, dispensable, toxic. When will he admit that his office too has become dispensable, too toxic to serve the interests of Wales? When will he do the right thing and resign?
Mr. Speaker, I don't think a month passes without the Honourable Lady calling for me to take such action. But it is an opportunity to thank my colleague who served in the Wales office for his efforts, for the work in which he did on the North Wales Growth Deal, for which the Honourable Lady has showed appreciation in the past, and I wish that she wouldn't be so churlish now.
Christina Rees.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as you know, it's the Newport West by-election tomorrow, called after the sad passing of our wonderful colleague, Paul Flynn. So may I wish Ruth Jones, our wonderful candidate, all the best for tomorrow. And could I welcome the DWP Minister to his place? Are you staying long or are you just passing through? Mr. Speaker, the House has on several occasions refused to back leaving without a deal. So has the Welsh Government and the Welsh Assembly. The Prime Minister doesn't want it, and she has at last reached out to our party for a cross-party approach to resolve the Brexit impasse. Does the Secretary of State agree with his Prime Minister or his junior minister who has just resigned?
Secretary of State.
In the first instance, I'd also like to wish Matthew Evans well in the Newport West by-election in response to the point made by the Honourable Lady. But I would say to the Honourable Lady, as I've said to the House a moment ago, I don't want to leave the European Union without a deal. That's exactly why I voted for the Prime Minister's deal. Maybe the Honourable Lady would explain to her constituents why she voted to block Brexit.
Christina Rees.
I thank the Secretary of State for his response, but I think it would be really helpful if he reiterated to this House today that he would rule out a no deal, which he knows would be disastrous for Wales, and if he will not, then he should follow his junior minister and resign.
Well, Mr. Speaker, in the spirit in which my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, made her statement yesterday and said that she was keen to engage on an open and transparent basis, the right honourable member, the Leader of the Opposition, has also said there are no red lines, so I don't know why she's calling on me to draw some now.
Angela Crawley. Number 3, Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and with permission I will answer questions 3 and 8 together. I have regular discussions with Cabinet colleagues on a range of issues affecting Wales, including the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. Leaving the European Union removes the geographical and fund-specific constraints currently in place and provides an opportunity to address the concerns of businesses, the voluntary sector and communities around excessive bureaucracy.
Angela Crawley.
Mr. Speaker, this government committed to creating a shared UK prosperity fund to replace the EU funding which seeks to reduce inequalities across our communities between the 4 nations of the UK. 2 years later, and this fund still does not exist. Can the Secretary of State confirm whether he and the Secretary of State for Scotland are advocating in the Cabinet to ensure that Scotland and Wales get the fairest deal and will not receive less funding than they currently do, or was promised by the Leave campaign?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I mean, the simple fact that the fund does not exist is simply because we're still part of the European fund. So clearly there is plenty of space in order to develop that, and we will be consulting shortly. And in terms of the share of funds that come to Wales, I would compare my record positively with that of the Labour administration when it was in power. Having underfunded Wales for 13 years, we now have a new settlement, an enhanced settlement that is focused on need.
Marion Fellows. Marion Fellows.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the worst inequality in any EU member state between London and Wales, leaving the EU would make this worse. Can the Secretary of State confirm that he is working to ensure the Shared Prosperity Fund delivers for Wales, which can only be done by decisions being made in Wales, and that devolved governments don't get sidelined?
Well, the Honourable Lady raises an important point about the worst inequality she described it between London and Wales. I mean, the facts speak for themselves, but they have built up over some time. But I would also point to the relative positive growth in Wales compared to that across other parts of the United Kingdom, and the enhanced funding settlement that has been negotiated under the fiscal framework. So I am optimistic and excited about our future outside of the European Union.
David T.C. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would my right honourable friend agree with me that the UK Shared Prosperity Funds offers a cast-iron guarantee that Wales is not going to lose out financially as a result of Brexit? And will my right honourable friend consider ensuring that that money goes directly to local authorities so it is spent in the best possible way?
Secretary of State.
My honourable friend, Mr. Speaker, makes an extremely important point, because he, as I was, an Assembly member back in 1999 when the first form of European aid on this scale was being discussed. It was described as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and sadly we have qualified twice since, and that's because of the relative failure of the existing programmes.
Bob Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And further to my honourable friend's question, will my right honourable friend ensure that it is local authorities that can bid for this scheme, rather than just being devolved to the Welsh Assembly to divide up the funds accordingly?
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend makes an important point, and that is the sort of innovation that the consultation will consider. Now, he's tempting me to draw conclusions before we actually consult, but we haven't been doing nothing on this policy area. There have already been pre-consultation discussions taking place in Wales, and the Welsh Government jointly presented at the last St Asaph meeting in North Wales.
Gerald Jones.
Mr. Speaker, Wales has been a net beneficiary of EU structural funds, and we were told that we would not lose a penny when we leave the EU. So can we have certainty on the UK Prosperity Fund? And when will the Secretary of State start to do his job, stand up for the people of Wales and make sure we don't lose out after we've left the EU?
Well, the honourable member makes an important point, but of course he's tempting me to announce elements of the comprehensive spending review well before my right honourable friend, the Chancellor, will do so later this year. But communities have said that the £4 billion that have been has not changed communities in the way that they wanted it to. So this is an opportunity to introduce a much more innovative, proactive approach that responds to the private sector, the voluntary sector and local authorities in a much more local way.
I welcome the honourable member for Swindon North to his new position. And Mr. Speaker, can I too start by wishing our Labour candidate Ruth Jones well in the Newport West by-election tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, there have been more than just the one meeting on Shared Prosperity Fund in Wales. There have been 5 meetings. But the consultation hasn't started. 5 meetings in Wales. MPs were neither informed or invited to these meetings, even if, like me, they were held in their own constituency. Can I ask the honourable member, does he view MPs from all sides as stakeholders in the Shared Prosperity Fund? Why weren't MPs invited to these meetings? And will he meet with stakeholder MPs to discuss the design of the fund?
Well, Mr. Speaker, to begin with, I would point that these meetings were aimed at communities, and the Welsh Government jointly presented at the last one. And the honourable member has frequent opportunities in order to make direct representation here. And it was only a little over a week ago I met the all-party group for the UK Shared Prosperity Fund to discuss the matter. I'm sorry that the honourable member couldn't be present with some of his colleagues, but of course I'll happily meet with him or any other colleague who wishes to discuss the UK Shared Prosperity Fund.
Tom Bursclove.
Number 4, Mr. Speaker.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last year, over 3,000 jobs came to Wales through foreign direct investment through 57 projects, of which 93% were supported by my department and the Department for International Trade.
First Club.
Given the recent showcasing of the Welsh investment portfolio at the MIPIM conference, what steps is he taking to try and lever in further foreign direct investment into Wales in what is undoubtedly a key nation as part of this global economy?
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend is a strong advocate for foreign direct investment in his constituency and in all parts, and he rightly points out that the Department for International Trade promoted a Wales capital investment programme at MIPIM conference for the first time. It's a great demonstration of Whitehall departments working closely with local authorities. There's been extremely positive feedback from both the local authorities themselves, from both investors, and we're now working through those leads in order to see which projects can land.
No deal wouldn't just have an impact on foreign direct investment. It would also, on the government's own figures, leave the Welsh economy 8% smaller over 15 years. So can the Secretary of State clear up any ambiguity about his own attitude to no deal and say clearly today there are no circumstances whatsoever in which he would back no deal?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member is quite selective in terms of the quotes that he's making about foreign direct investment, because he will be well aware, as the House will be, that the latest figures available show that the UK had the 3rd highest stock of foreign direct investment in the world after the US and Hong Kong. So clearly the UK's record in FDI is strong, and Wales's record, I suggest, is stronger than most of the rest of the part of the UK.
Honourable friend ensure that every single UK trade delegation overseas sings the song loudly and proudly that Wales is and will continue to be open for business.
Well, I'm grateful to my honourable friend for his question, because he rightly is rightly aware of the great record that Wales has of attracting inward investment. There are more than 60 Japanese companies, for example, in Wales. That's why I was there just some weeks ago, not only talking about existing investments, but also talking about the potential for new investments for the UK outside of the European Union.
Ben Lake.
The Secretary of State will be aware that the Irish government have recently reopened their consulate in Cardiff. What more can the government do to encourage other countries to do likewise, so as to boost Wales's international presence and also levels of inward investment?
Well, the honourable member makes an important point, and we discussed it at the Welsh Affairs Select Committee on Monday, and paid tribute for his persistence in this matter. He rightly pointed to the Irish government opening an office in Cardiff, and we would encourage other governments to do so, and I'm happy to meet and work with him to see who should be our target nations to attract to Wales and to Cardiff.
Thank you very much.
Christian Matheson.
Question 5, sir.
D. Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, I have regular discussions with the Welsh Government's Minister for the Economy and Transport on a range of matters, including infrastructure in Wales. We are committed to creating a broad-based, resilient economy through our own modern industrial strategy and the Welsh Government's Economic Action Plan.
Christian Matheson.
The resilience of the major road network in North East Wales is entirely dependent on the M56 just across the border in my constituency, which is now beyond capacity. Will he speak to the Department of Transport and ministers there to make sure we get the upgrades we need to benefit North East Wales as well?
The honourable member raises very important points, particularly when responsibilities are split between the Welsh Government and the UK Government. So in seeking to address these sorts of issues, cross-border infrastructure projects in particular, the Strategic Roads in Britain group has been established, for which the Welsh Government and the UK Government are part of, in seeking to prioritise how we can best resolve these issues.
Anne Clwyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Chancellor said last week that there was not one extra penny for the environment in Wales. Who is going to clean up 100 acres of polluted land in Abercwmboi unless the government does it?
Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, I pay tribute to the Right Honourable Lady for her work in this area in seeking to clear up the Ferniside site. She has been working on this project for many years. I would maybe enhance the comment that she made about funding for Wales and on environmental projects, because that is devolved and that would be part of the Barnett block. But I'm keen to work with her to see how we can best influence the Welsh Government in this devolved area of policy so that we can bring benefit to her constituency.
Michael Fabricant.
Thank you. Question 6, sir.
D. Secretary of State.
I commend the honourable gentleman for his commitment to this issue, Mr. Speaker, and would be delighted to see the return of His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales's regalia to Wales. There are many fine residences in Wales that would be suitable to display what some consider to be the Welsh crown jewels.
Well, as you will know, Mr. Speaker, the whole question on Welsh people's lips is not Brexit, it's the royal regalia. And does my right honourable friend not agree that there are many suitable locations, perhaps Carnarvon Castle, or even better, the National Library of Wales in Aberystwyth, which has a secure place to store them?
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend is extremely persistent about this issue, but it demonstrates the importance of this project and the potential it could offer to attracting tourists to Wales. It's an interesting proposal, and my officials are happy to work with other organisations to see how we can bring about this to be a reality. There are security implications, but there are significant benefits potential too.
Jones.
Mr. Speaker, investiture regalia is probably a controversial subject, but those who are keen on it would describe themselves as patriots. Will the Secretary of State for Wales describe himself as a real patriot by ruling out a disastrous no-deal Brexit, and will he show his commitment to that?
Mr. Speaker, I mean, I'm a passionate patriot for Wales, and as I would hope that the honourable lady would recognise, and I want to see a deal in terms of leaving the European Union. That's why I have voted for a deal. But I would point to the honourable lady's record in voting against a deal last Thursday, which was in rejection to the call and instruction and demand that came from the Welsh public in the referendum.
Mr. Speaker, in the Royal Collection, there is a sword made of Tain silver. It is fantastically valuable. Would the Secretary of State have a word with the Scottish Secretary of State to see if that Tain silver sword could be lent to my hometown of Tain in the Highlands?
Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, I'll happily raise the matter with my honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Scotland. But I think this highlights the great history, the great shared identity, the great common issues that we have as a nation, and that we can share these assets in order to attract tourists to every part of the United Kingdom.
Number 7, Mr. Speaker.
Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, I have been working closely with my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, and with the Welsh Government to ensure that Wales benefits from opportunities that our modern industrial strategy provides.
Jessica Morden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The recent Bayes Select Committee Industrial Strategy report was particularly damning about how the steel sector has been failed by this government. I know Ruth Jones, if elected tomorrow, will be a strong voice for the industry in Newport West. But what is the Secretary of State doing to push the sector deal negotiations and demand energy on energy?